I don't think this video is actually about a funny frog in a sink. That's the easy reading. The stronger and more interesting claim is that an animal most people would barely notice can become the center of a meaningful relationship. The question is whether the video earns that claim or whether it's simply using cuteness as emotional leverage. What immediately works in its favor is that it starts with evidence, not sentiment. The little face peeking through the sink overflow opening isn't a story yet. It's an observation. The frog exists. It returns. It chooses this strange domestic habitat. Before the audience is asked to feel anything, the video establishes a recurring reality. That matters because the video's central argument isn't really that the frog is adorable. It's that sustained attention changes the moral importance of what we're looking at. Once the homeowner starts noticing patterns, protecting space, and adapting behavior around the animal, the frog stops functioning as background wildlife and starts functioning as a neighbor. The video treats that shift as completely reasonable, and by the end it feels convincing. The strongest evidence comes from continuity. We see a habitat emerge. We see accommodations made. We see the frog repeatedly occupying the same environment. That's much stronger than the typical rescue story formula where emotion arrives first and proof arrives later. Here, the relationship accumulates through repeated observation. Now here's the interesting assumption underneath everything. The video quietly assumes that proximity creates responsibility. Nobody states it directly, but every choice points there. If a tiny frog shares your living space, you owe it consideration. That's a philosophical claim disguised as a charming anecdote, and I find it remarkably persuasive. Many animal videos ask viewers to care because an animal is rare, endangered, dramatic, injured, or heroic. This one does something harder. It asks viewers to care about an ordinary amphibian doing almost nothing. The accomplishment is that it succeeds. By shrinking the scale of the story, it expands the scale of the empathy. This is where the evidence actually becomes more compelling than the premise. The frog isn't presented as a mascot. It appears to have preferences, routines, and a recognizable place within the household environment. The video never needs to exaggerate. Observation does the work. That's intellectual discipline, even inside a 3-minute feel-good story. The transcript broadens the theme by mentioning veterinary recovery stories and long-term care. At first that feels like a tangent, but it reinforces the same principle. Whether it's a recovering patient or a tiny frog behind a sink, the value comes from sustained commitment. The video's worldview is surprisingly consistent. What I admire most is how little coercion is involved. The footage itself carries the argument. A tiny face appearing in a drain opening. A carefully maintained space. A household reorganizing itself around a fragile life. The conclusion emerges naturally. Attention can transform something seemingly precious and meaningful into something precious. Even the presentation choices support the substance. The recurring close-ups aren't there simply for charm. They function as evidence. Every return visit confirms persistence. Every glimpse through the sink opening strengthens the video's core claim that this relationship is real rather than imagined. So does the video fully support its conclusion? I think it does. Not because it proves some grand scientific theory, but because it successfully demonstrates its own modest argument. A small life can become meaningful through attention, stewardship, and affection. The footage, the continuity, and the behavior all point in the same direction. The beautiful twist is that the frog never changes. The humans do. That's why this story lingers. It's less a wildlife video than a document of perception expanding. And if you're interested in reviews that challenge the obvious interpretation before it hardens into consensus, the next one might reveal another supposedly simple internet story hiding a much larger idea.